Okay, thank you for coming in and welcome. So Teresa, do you want to start off and? Can you use your mic?
Little history about why we're here. So Chief Hill, if you want to jump in at any place, because I came in a little bit later. My name is Teresa Doolittle. I'm the project administrator for Six Nations Public Works. Forgot my title. I'll let you introduce yourselves as well.
My name is Lindley Kenny, and I'm a director in the Indigenous Relations Office at Metrolinx. And I just want to thank you all for inviting us to Six Nations territory today. And we're happy to discuss, hopefully, this future partnership with Six Nations on this transit initiative. And I'll pass it to my colleague, Nikhil.
Hi, nice. Thank you for having us here. Nikhil Lobo, I'm the Director of Service Planning with Metrolinx.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So if you're watching, sorry, that was my fault. The cameras are not working on the left-hand side, so you won't be able to see the counselors on my left-hand side. And also, sorry, you won't be able to see the presenters because the camera is not working. There's just a black screen. So again, sorry to the community. We're going to be getting that camera fixed. So again, also too, let's go around so they know who we are. Go ahead, Amos.
Amos Q. Jr.
Shirley Johnson, manager,
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so the floor is yours.
So I guess a little history was I have been a part of transportation for probably going on more like 2 years now, and ended up finding out through Chief Hill that Metrolinx was speaking with Cap, and she had an understanding that there was a pilot project being offered by Metrolinx. So I was brought on scene to take the lead, I guess, on that initiative to continue talks with Metrolinx. So we have been doing that for the past several months now. Metrolinx team and myself have gotten to the point of, after multiple meetings, we do have a draft route mapped out. We had the visitation of the planning group here, the safety group here, to look at that route. We've actually have the 45-foot go bus down here doing the actual route to make sure there were no issues and to address any safety concerns and to identify those actual stops and any maintenance that needs to happen there. That's kind of where we're at right now. We did send the link or the PowerPoint to show what that map looked like. So we are looking at Go Bus's extension 15, line 15 extension. I think you're getting that right. That will come from Brantford and it will go through Six Nations territory and will go up number 6 highway. It will go over to Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations Plaza and then turn around and redo that route, end up back in Brantford. So right now that map shows that we have 4 stops identified. So one would be at second line in Mohawk Road, so Barney's Corner. And then the next one would be Chiefs Wood and second line, so at 69 Corners. Then we would come down Chiefs Wood, take a left and 4th, do the circle drive into the community center, come back out, go continue down 4th line, and we would go down to Oneida Business Park, actually go into Generations Drive, and then do the drive, come back out, and then get on number 6 highway, and it will go to Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and then turn around and make those 4 stops again before it leaves. So that's what we are looking at right now for the draft plan. Since then, I've had several conversations with, I think all the parties that I feel like need to be addressed at this early stage, just so that I don't overlook anything, because I am the only representative of Six Nations at that table. So I talked to the manager of paramedics. I talked to the chief, fire chief. I talked to police chief. Talked to Matt Jameson and any tenants that could be affected down at Night of Business Park. Trying to just make sure when I'm not overlooking, had conversations with Public Works as well as to what it would take to have these stops actually functioning. Talked to Crisis over with Cam Salt just to make sure we have anything addressed as far as any emergency situations when they get into that detail about who we would call if there was an issue on a bus. Things like that have already been talked about. But we are getting to the point now where we do have to commit. We are looking at, you know, is this, are we going in the right direction for council? Are they on board for this pilot project? Because decisions like that need to be made now because Metrolinx themselves has to go back to their board to actually ask for the extension to be approved as well. So we're getting to the stage now that, you know, we need commitment and we need approvals.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
the second.
Yeah, it's the second slide is the map. Are we okay?
Go ahead, Dale.
Good evening, how you doing? Just a question, I guess, in regards to timelines, in regards to the actual route that's gonna be on Six Nations. So is there like, where's it gonna enter onto the reserve? Where's it gonna stop? Like, is there an estimate for that whole route time-wise? Is it a half an hour? Is it 45 minutes? Is it an hour and a half? And once you're at a stop, what is the timeline? Are they gonna wait only 2 minutes if nobody's there? Or if nobody's there, they just go on? So and in regards to the actual stop location, is there a plan for like, little shelters or anything for people to be there or?
Thank you for the question. So in terms of the amount of time it would take, so a trip from Six Nations to Brantford would be about 30 minutes. So it takes about 30 minutes to get there through the community. In terms of stopping times, typically, like we try to make a schedule so it's a very precise time. There's certain things called timing points. So at some of the major stops, like the end of the line, the community center, there'll be a little bit of a wait time where the bus will lay over as people arrive and then board the bus and then leave. Some of the smaller stops, it's usually just if somebody is there at the time that the departure time, then it would stop and pick people up. Otherwise, it would continue on. But we try to allocate as much buffer time as possible. In terms of the stops themselves, for this kind of initial rollout, it would really be a standard type of bus stop where there's a stop pole with information with the bus sign itself. At this point, I don't think there would be any shelters, but that's something we want to, this is really about testing, observing, and then seeing where the demand is. And then there's.
Thank you.
Continue. Go ahead. You can continue.
Do you have anything to add to what I said, Lindley? Are you okay or you're good? Okay, I see you have some notes. I don't know if there's anything that you want us to speak.
No, I think just a couple of things that I really wanted to highlight. One, you know, we really appreciate the partnership and the collaborative work here with Teresa and other members of Public Works that have participated in some of the site visits. With this routing and stop locations, what we've really tried to do is you know, expand coverage within the community with these stop locations while still, of course, maintaining the operational safety and accessibility requirements for these highway motor coach buses, right? These are 55-seat highway motor coach buses. And so there are some limitations at times. And so trying to find that right balance in terms of community coverage, access to key destinations like the community center, like the business park that's growing, as well as some parking and pickup drop-off locations. And then as part of a broader integrated network as well, getting to Brantford Bus Terminal and Hamilton. And so it really gives community members the opportunity here to connect to key services and destinations in downtown Brantford, connect to Brantford Transit. Same thing with Hamilton. We know, you know, some foundational work that, you know, Six Nations has done in terms of the transportation study has really identified this critical need. And what we're trying to do is kind of meet those needs with that broader regional transit network here.
So, so when they get dropped off back into Brantford is at the bus stop?
Yeah, the main stop in Brantford is at the main Brantford bus terminal.
Okay. Go ahead, Teresa. Now you have the map up. Can you just go through it one more time
Yeah.
for the community?
So we will come in on second line, and their very first stop will be at Mohawk Road. And that's just, of course, on the road stop. It doesn't pull off. It's just on the road stop. So it'll be a quick stop. Same way with 69 Corners. So Chiefswood and second line. I think we're all familiar is once we make that turn, there is kind of that bit of a road allowance there where, I don't know if you are visualizing where I am, but there's a bit of a lenience there. So that will be one of the stops. And again, on the road stop. We will go then down Chiefswood Road to Fourth Line, take a left, go into the community hall, and then where the parking, when you first pull in, there's just that space of green space. It's like a circle there. We're just going to circle that green space, and it will stop. Then we will go out again on Fourth Line, continue all the way down Fourth Line to Oneida Business Park. So we will actually pull in. So it'll be a pull-in stop, just like the community center will be. So there'll be parking at both of those spots. So we will take the Generations Drive, stop kind of at just where you do enter the parking area at the Oneida Business Park building. Then it will come back out onto Fourth Line and it will continue down number 6 highway and it will go to the plaza at Mississauga, the Credit First Nation. So that's what I guess what you call the end of the line. So then it will turn around and it just backtrack all those stops again and go back into Brantford. So timing, I mean, when we first started this and I was talking to Chief Hill, we were kind of looking at September, which is not feasible. Metrolinx does need at least a 3-month, I guess, period to make sure all the programming and things are in place. So even right now, we're trying to be aggressive, but we're looking at December as the soonest we could possibly have this happen. And I think that's maybe even a little bit aggressive at this point. But in talking with Chief Hill, we were thinking too that maybe we would be waiting closer to April, like when the weather got nice, instead of trying to launch a transit service in the winter. I've just kind of updated Metrolinx on that suggestion, so we're still dealing with that. We also have not firmed up things like fare, what's the cost going to be to actually ride the GO bus. I don't know if Lindley, you can pick that up from me in a second, if we can do some comparables. So like I said, it is in draft. And so these are the next things that do have to be discussed. We also would like, and for me, my suggestion is to make sure that we are collaborative with health and social, who already do have transportation programs, to make sure that our community understands what GO does. GO is not a taxi service. GO is not pick me up directly and take me to my medical appointment. We do have those types of services already here, but we need to make sure that when we're advertising and when we do community engagement, that we're definitely making that distinction of what GO is. And Nikhil made that, it's a regional transportation. We're trying to get you to one spot to another spot so you can get someplace else. So it's not really answering that internal community on demand where, I may want to just get from Town Line to Pharmacy to pick up my medication. That's not really what this is, because there's only 4 pickup spots. So we do have some work to do to complement the GO service. So it's not complete, I guess, answer to what we heard in our transportation study, but it is a start. And I do believe we can complement it with an on-demand service, which that's a whole another meeting, I think, but definitely we do have, I guess, ideas around that. And I think I will let you take up that one piece about price. Maybe we can do some price conversation.
Yeah, so in terms of the fares, Teresa is correct. So GO is a regional service provider, and so really the intercommunity service to connect different communities. And because the service area is so large, the fares typically work on a fare by distance type of model. So it's a little bit different than a local transit service, which has like one flat fare anywhere in the area. And so based on our Presto fare type of model, like a trip to Brantford for a standard adult fare would be $5.89. A trip to Hamilton would be $11.16. So this is similar to what the transportation study had identified at the $10 range, but for Brantford, it's $5.89. There's various concessions for different types of groups as well. So there's a strong youth and student discount as well, because of course this service connects to major educational institutions, both in Brantford and Hamilton. So there's, with our youth and student fares, it's about a 30% discount. So it's about, for example, $4.20 for a trip to Brantford for youth and students. For seniors, there's an additional discount as well. So it's about $3.15. And children 12 and under are free on the services.
How many times would it run a day?
So right now, all we have drafted are three runs, which converts to 6 because it's there and back is considered 2 runs. So right now, that's all that has been identified.
Yeah,
What does that mean? Like 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in late afternoon?
so what we've identified based on, some of the conversations that we've had with Teresa, as well as the transportation study and typical commuting patterns, it would be 6 trips per day, 7 days a week, and kind of structuring based on the typical type of commuting patterns, right? So during the weekdays, it would be 1 early morning trip. So leaving here around 6:30 a.m. to get to Brantford by 7:15. An additional mid-morning trip at around 9:45 a.m. approximately to get to Brantford by 10:30. And then an afternoon trip for other types of discretionary travel, of course, so leaving around 5:15 p.m. in that range to get to Brantford for around 6 p.m. So trying to meet different types of different markets, different trip times. And then on the return side as well, something similar, right?
That was my next one, is return. So if I'm standing there at the bus stop, how am I getting home?
Yeah, exactly. So there's the opportunity, of course, that is a critical consideration. We want to make sure that the service is safe, it's accessible, people have the opportunity to come back in a reliable way. And so, if the area is Brantford, there's trips that would leave around 8 o'clock in the morning, which would get here, closer to 8:30. There's trips at around 2:30 in the afternoon as well for those morning commuters who are leaving a little bit earlier, which would get here around 3 p.m. And then around 4:30 in the afternoon as well, that would get here, closer to around 5:15 during weekdays. Weekends are a little bit staggered because, people don't commute to work, maybe don't need to get there as early. And so it's a little bit shifted, but again, the same type of idea, a trip every 3 to 4 hours.
So not really, something that's going to maybe get you to work and back every day on the time that you want it to be arriving and departing. More so opportunities maybe for going to the Jays game and not having to drive maybe a concession or to do that and go there and back on the weekend. Or so like I said, it's not a complete solution to what our territory is requesting, but it is an option. And it still does get you to Brantford to then get you to wherever you need to be after that, whether it's the Hamilton direction or even like London direction. Can we go with London? So anyways,
Yeah.
regional, right? That regional travel. So you need to look at Go and Metrolinx is a regional travel service. I guess the other thing I wanted to mention too was Presto. Presto, did I say it right? Is the software that they use for a payment structure. So it does hold the opportunity for those services that are on reserve that maybe use taxi or however else they may do it, is to be able to have prepaid cards for their clients. Yes, for their clients to be able to utilize. And so those could be those services in those departments prepaying for that to be able to hand out. So that is an opportunity that we have as well to try and, give some kind of, I guess, opportunity to some of the services that do need it.
So Nathan has a card, so it would look like this. And then they would just tap it
Yes.
and then they're ready to go.
Go ahead.
Yes, so the system, so for members that have a card or access to a card, a Presto card, it would be you tap on where you get on the bus, you tap off where you get off the bus, you tap for a transfer. There's also, we've recently established what's called open payment. And so, if people do not have a Presto card, immediately available, they can still tap their debit or credit cards and it would charge the same Presto fare. And again, for transfers, and then there's of course mobile wallet options as well for that system. So yeah, multiple options within that Presto fare payment.
How long is this pilot project going to run?
So I think in your conversations, Chief Hill, with our CEO, really we're making a long-term commitment. The pilot element of this is really to test and make any sort of adjustments that are required for the service based on demand, based on uptake. Typically with that type of initiative, we look at around, you don't want to make too many changes. Probably in the 12 to 18-month range is the time when you do a holistic review to see what adjustments might need to be made to best meet the needs of the community.
Because that was going to be my next one, just to make sure that we are reaching and it's successful for all members at these stops. Are these the right stops? Are they need to be somewhere different? So I'm glad to see that that's going to be looked at also.
I think in parallel, we do have to understand too, right, that 12 to 18 months is something that we need to consider getting our on-demand service up and running to complement so that we don't just have empty buses running. Because we do know, and the community did share with us through the transportation study surveys, that it is difficult to just get like within the community from, line to line. Should we get into a town line, like I said? And so I think we do need to try and complement that with, can we have that on-demand service, even just getting you to these bus stops? So we do need to continue, I think, that direction of the on-demand piece and to make it the most successful as we can, because like I'm saying, this is one piece. We need to get the other piece going as well. So that 12 to 18 months is a window of opportunity, I guess, is what I would like to look at it as. The Rural Transit Solution Fund does have opportunities for First Nations, 100% capacity, no equity of our own, up to 3 million. And if we go EV with electric options, up to 5 million. And I think we need to take advantage of that right now to figure out what are we doing, what do we want, and what does that proposal look like?
So if I'm on Chiefswood Road on Second Line and I want to go into the village, that'll drop me off at the community hall, right?
Yes.
Can I get dropped off? Like if I get picked up, can I get off? Or no?
At the community hall?
Yeah, at the community hall.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the community understands that this isn't just to go to Brantford. This
Yes.
is also if you're somewhere that wants to get dropped off at another location, that you're able to be dropped off.
Yes. It's a yes. It's just, I'm concerned with how do I get somebody to Second Line to get on it? Like say from Town Line or whatever, just, that's the next concern, but yes,
Right.
you are right.
Okay, I have Cynthia.
So does Brantford have a Go Bus?
Yeah, so this is basically it will be an extension of the existing Go Bus Route 15, which runs currently from Brantford to Hamilton and then to Aldershot.
So someone from the community, their destination could be within the community or Brantford or Hamilton or Aldershot, and from there
Or beyond, yeah.
beyond.
Yeah,
right?
at Aldershot Go, there's a time connection with the Lakeshore West train as well.
Just a follow-up.
Just limited to the line, the run itself though, yes.
Does it, the 3 times that you've mentioned, is it scheduled such that it would make the connection for the Go Bus?
Yes, that's correct.
Elena, then Melba.
You may not have this information right now, but do you know offhand what the cost is from Brantford on the Go Bus to Hamilton or to Aldershot?
Just to clarify, you mean the fare for somebody who's
Yeah.
traveling?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so for a community member from Six Nations, for example, at a standard adult fare, if they want to go to Hamilton, it would be $11.16
Okay.
to get to Hamilton. To get to Aldershot, it's about $11.37, and then to get to downtown Toronto would be $16.84.
Start to finish.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So again, start to finish. That's pretty good. Any other questions or comments? Oh, yes, Melba. Sorry, Melba.
Will you have shelters, Teresa, made, considering that a lot of, I guess, bus riders will not have transportation, so sometimes they may have to be dropped off at the bus stops, and I'm wondering if there's gonna be shelters considering the weather, whether it's sun, rain, or snow.
So the short answer to that is no, not during the pilot. We
Oh.
do understand that, that is going to be an issue, but because there could be potential for changing of the route, we want to learn more before we actually put structures up. So the only thing that will go up will pretty much be like what looks like a post with a go sign on it type of situation for now to start.
Okay, the second question is, where will this bus park in Brantford? Is there a specific area where they'll park, like years ago?
Uh, the, the bus will connect in Brantford at Brantford Bus Terminal. So it's a major
Okay.
bus terminal in downtown
Okay.
Brantford.
Thanks, thank you.
Elena?
You mentioned the post with the signage on there. I'm wondering if you know of any solutions. I don't know how much rural work you've done so far. But if you have any solutions, and if not, because people may be walking, like Teresa has mentioned, and I know that most of the time for these routes will be during daylight hours, but if there's an early morning winter time, it may still be dark. I wonder if there's, and this is not for Metrolinx, but for us maybe, um affixing something to that post that has like reflectors, just cheapy little reflectors that somebody could grab and tag on their clothes or backpack or whatever it is.
Health and safety issues, right? Because it is a liability to have our people walking down the roads, and we know this. So I've made note of it, Elena. Just it's not really something we haven't really gotten to that detail yet, but I'll definitely write that down because I think it's major. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Leslie.
Hi, and thank you for presenting today. I'm just curious, like, okay, so we're coming all the way down second line up to Ashwegan, out down fourth line, and then out towards Hagersville, stopping at that plaza there. What was the choice? Why was that plaza identified as a go-around?
I don't know if I can speak out of turn if you guys want to say this, but Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation is also going to be a part of the pilot. They will be the end of the run. So they have offered their plaza to be a turnaround spot and the only pickup, as far as I know, to right now. And that's up to Mississaugas Credit of the First Nation, but that's what they have offered as the end of the line run and a perfect turnaround and a stopping spot for a driver, I guess. So it worked out that that's where they've chosen.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Elena?
Theoretically, people from Hagersville could use this service to get to Brantford. Has there been any discussion with that community to see if they're?
Not that I've been included in.
No, we have not had any specific discussion with Hagersville as well. I think you're right. There's an opportunity for people to connect onto the service as well. And, I think as part of the work that we'll be doing on the communications plan and all of that, like, I think there'll be the opportunity for our community, like the surrounding communities, to understand those opportunities.
And I think that, like, we do plan on doing community engagement. So I think if we do even have our community members who live in the surrounding areas, and Hagersville is definitely one of them, that would come out hopefully in our marketing and our community engagement pieces.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I don't see any, but I think this is great. It's a start. This has been discussed for many, many years. And it's exciting to see where it takes us and to actually have some kind of transportation for our members. So thank you for joining us.
having
Thank
us.
you.
Yes,
We really appreciate it.
Yeah. thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dale.
I just moved to accept this information and look forward to the updates.
Moved by Dale, seconder. Second by Cynthia, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none carried. Thank you. Teresa, are you staying or Dale's gonna do it? Okay. Have a great night. Okay, you gonna? Okay, let's go to recommendation 2. Go ahead, Dale.
Yeah, recommendation 4.2 is actually, it's sort of an annual event that happens with Public Works on behalf of Six Nations, where they submit an annual plan to, it's called the First Nation Infrastructure Investment Plan. And it's a plan that, Six Nations has, in regards to a lot of capital projects. So Public Works has identified this year 387 projects with a total of about $1.739 billion worth of capital projects here on Six Nations. And it's a plan that has been submitted to Department of Indian Affairs for a number of years now. But the resolution is that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve the submission of 2024-25 Six Nations First Nation Infrastructure Investment Plan. So that's, I move on that.
Moved by Dale, is there seconder? Second by Elena. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none carried. Recommendation 2-3. Go ahead, Dale.
4.3.
Sorry, 4-3.
This is a plan where Public Works has gone through, I guess, a little study for their 10-year road management plan that was completed in 22. And there was a number of sections of roads that were going to be completed that was based on their timeline and schedule. So for this year, they're looking at roads 121 and 122, which is first line between Bateman line to Seneca Road, and then Chiefswood Road between 3rd and 4th, and then another road, which is 246, which is between 5th line and 6th line. So there's several pots of money where they have some money left over from, I think it's their minor capital projects, road resurfacing project. I think there was another one, and they have some money allocation in their 24-25 operation and maintenance funding that has been set aside for resurfacing projects. So they tendered the project based on the financial management policy. Contractors, paving contractors complete this work, with Dufferin Construction Company being the lowest bidder. So the motion is be resolved that the Built Environment and Climate Adaptation Committee recommend that Six Nations of the Grand River Council approve to defer remaining funds from 2023 road servicing projects and award the 2024 road resurfacing project to Dufferin Construction Company at an upset limit of $2,028,453.53. And the source of money is from the 2023 road resurfacing project, 2024 MTO First Nations road management funding, and 24-25 roads operations, which is Public Works, operation and maintenance funding that was allocated in their budget. So I move on that recommendation.
So with that,
To reallocate the funds and award the contract.
so moved by Dale, is there seconder? Second by Cynthia with a question? Yep, go ahead. Question, Cynthia?
Is there some reason why this is just going so late in the year? I mean, I'm happy that first line by Bateman is a awful road, and actually I've been getting calls about that lately, so I'll be happy to bestow the news, but just wondering why it's so late in the season.
I'm not sure about that, but I know if they had other projects or reallocation, or if they're waiting for some issues with council, I'm not sure, but Mike never deferred or referred anything to me in relation to the timing of it, but.
Can you just turn your mic, thanks.
Can we expect it will start and be done before Christmas?
Yeah, I anticipate it will be, because I think there's a timeline in regards to resurfacing, especially when
Can't be in the middle winter. and-
Yeah, probably like, I think November is that deadline in relation to resurfacing roads. They try and have a lot of that completed before then. And if it is, it's gonna be additional cost to try and do it in the winter time, so. So that's just my, I guess, historical knowledge I have on different projects in the past.
Go ahead, Melba.
Dale, you've been in place a long time and now you're here. And I'm just wondering if you know why seventh line has never been completed. Doesn't even have gravel, let alone pavement. And I feel that seventh line residents have been neglected over the years. And as you know, even buses stopped running for a period of time as a result of the road conditions and put a real strain on parents at times where they had to drive their car through what the bus couldn't do and take them to an alternate route or take them to school themselves. You know that certainly house to house was put in place by myself and Barb and Public Works and questioned the residents as to what their needs were in relation to, for example, widening the road. And I'm just wondering why it continues when you have several here that are going to be resurfaced and many other things that a road needs, and seventh line has never been tended to in a proper way. I realize that some of the areas of concern were where who owns the land, for example. And I think there was relationship problems with people, whether it was neighbors or relatives, and we couldn't get the answers. They lived in California, they lived elsewhere, and we couldn't get the telephone numbers to actually call them. So I just wondered if you could share with us why that hasn't been done. What is your views and opinions on that? Thanks.
I think you kind of answered your own question there, Melba. Because historically, yeah, some of those issues are in regards to landowners. Originally, that road along there is on Seventh Line is not the proper width. So there are some ongoing issues in regards to obtaining some land to make it the proper width, which is on road lawns out there would be like 66 feet. So, and in some areas, from what I recall, several years ago when we looked into this, it was merely only 30 feet. So there are some areas where land has to be purchased. And yeah, there are some issues in regards to particular landowners in regards to, I guess, getting in contact with them or the willingness and wanting to have it. And there's also been the comments that some people know that that road's gravel, so their anticipation is that people drive slower. They don't want it to get too good where people are gonna drive too fast this time. So there's like several comments, several issues in relation to that, but some of your comments are exactly why things have been deferred because of communication, getting in contact with the proper people, and negotiating with particular landowners and wanting to make a purchase so that the road can be the proper width. So it is historical, it's gone on. I think you and Barb, when you were here, we had some meetings with some of the community members, probably 15 years ago or more. And yeah, and those were some of the concerns that were brought up then, and I think some of them still exist. I haven't talked to Mike directly about it and what he has in the last 4 or 5 years, but historically that has been the issue, yes.
Go ahead, Melba, follow up.
Yeah, that would be appreciated, Dale, if you could certainly see if you can do some planning around that to actually do another review of where the situation is with all the residents on Seventh Line. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll put that on Mike's plate.
Okay, Leslie?
This is for Dale. Dale, I like what you talked about in terms of the allowance, the road allowance. Are you talking about from center of the road? How far out, how wide is it?
Total road allowance is 66 feet and just from the middle is 33 feet each way. That's what they consider road allowance, yes.
Okay, so Dale moved it, Cynthia seconded it, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none carried. Waive second reading on 4-2 and 4-3. Moved by Dale, second by Cynthia. All in favor? May opposed? See none, carried. So let's go to number 5, adoption of general council minutes of July 23rd. Is there a mover? Moved by Melba. Seconder? Is there a seconder for minutes? Second by Elena. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Cynthia?
I have a question that has to do with roads. Remember that we put funds aside? And that wasn't one of the roads, remember we had, when we were doing our little, project, we have this funds and there's all these project. We identified source of funds and we set that aside. Is that, I didn't see that road in here, Dale, when's that happening?
Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, you're talking about the active resources, right? Yeah, so that's something we're looking at in terms of that'll be a separate update.
Is that gonna happen this year?
And it'll be in the next PL, political liaison.
This year, not the meeting is going to.
Oh, I'll get that confirmed with Mike in terms of the timing, but as Dale outlined, yeah, we are looking in November.
Because we went through a tender.
Can you use your mic?
Amount of money you have to go through a tendering process. Would it be proper to have this other included for the same price if that could be worked out with the contractor?
All of that is being worked out as we speak with Mike to come back with that proposal for
Okay.
council to consider in the next PL. Yeah. Councillor Greg and I just met with DevCorp today and discussed the very issue on the timing and everything, so.
Amos, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just was wondering, well, I just went to Caledonia last week and I seen an 8-ton restriction sign, brand new one. And I know it's because of the bridge, but can we put anything on our roads to restrict the tonnage of those trucks coming onto the reserve? And my second comment is, I don't know what kind of paint they use to paint the lines, but if you look on this road, for instance, Cheesewood, they're almost all gone again, the paint. So I don't know what we're using. So I don't know whether we can fix that.
I'll follow up with that in terms of paint.
Sherwin-Williams, maybe?
Okay, let's go to number 6, chief's updates. So I'm gonna start off with July 17th. Meeting with Hydro was on July 17th. Myself and the CEO representatives from Lands and Membership and the CAP team and Housing met with several Hydro One officials to discuss various issues, some of which included addition to reserve permits, outages, delays in getting layouts, and the incorrect placement of poles. We mutually agreed to establish a working group between Six Nations of the Grand River and Hydro One. This working group will meet regularly to improve the flow of communication, raise awareness of issues, and work to resolve our issues promptly. July 18th, a meeting with MP Brantford and Brant, Larry Brock. Myself, my staff and I met with MP. We briefly discussed items that departments highlighted during our orientation sessions earlier in this year. And MP Brock expressed his interest in advocating for Six Nations of the Grand River. July 23rd was Jade Treaty Border Alliance. My staff virtually attended. The group discussed the need for the government to accommodate First Nations people better in the right of entry, forms and documentations. Other organizational aspects of the JTBA's work were discussed. Co-conveners, preparation for advocacy work, considering co-chairs, and the technical tables will convene together. And again, the Stanley Cup celebration was July 24th. It was a successful event. The sales that we did for just that day was 17,000. So the profits will be donated to Jail Silver Hills in the programs. The event was very well attended. It was estimated that over 15,000 people attended. This event was rated one of the smoothest run events that NHL Cup handler had experienced. And again, thank you for all the volunteers who ensured that this event was successful. July 27th, the Bell Homestead ribbon cutting I attended, and the city of Brantford hosted the 150th anniversary of the invention of the telephone and the opening of the new telephone exhibition gallery in Brantford. Also in attendance was Mayor of Brantford and the Mayor of Brant County. Gunakwashra groundbreaking ceremony was July 30th. I gave welcoming remarks to the groundbreaking ceremony for the future site of 7 additional transitional housing units on Sunrise Court. The event was well attended as the community welcomed such a crucial resource for women and families. A meeting with Minister Ananda Sengari, along with myself, Councillor Helen Miller, Councillor Greg Fraser, Councillor Audrey Paulus-Bunbury, and Councillor Hazel Johnson was in attendance. The minister stated that he looks forward in a relationship with Six Nations of the Grand River elected council, as he would like to advance our issues. I raised our lack of access to safe drinking water, Bill C-53, taxation, funding cuts to the Survivor Secretariat, and issues relating to voting thresholds. And Indigenous Service Canada, Ontario Region Update, the monthly Ontario Region Update from ISC for July 20th. The month edition included the following information. The whooping cough is rising in Ontario. So far, few whooping cough cases have been reported in First Nations communities in 2024. Whooping cough is extremely contagious. The whooping cough can be treated with antibiotics. The earlier you get help, the faster you'll be on the road to recovery. Call your healthcare provider for individual advice. What to do if you think that you have whooping cough or have been in contact with someone who has it. Check with your vaccinations are up to date. Isolate yourself in a closed room if possible and stay away from babies and young children. Call a healthcare provider right away. So again, this month's regional update was handed to full council, but also to the wellbeing department. That's what I have for my update. Is there a mover as information to accept as information? Moved by Cynthia, second by Hazel, all in favor? May opposed? See none, carried. Number 7, update from the CEO office. Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide an update on recent decisions by council. They have motioned that the information be released as it relates to funding. So first, the first topic I want to discuss is the hospice. Council passed a motion that we utilize the Hydro One agreement that we had, the Bruce to Milton line, which provided the community with $6.6 million. And that money has been allocated to the construction of the hospice. We are preparing a press release to go out later this week, giving the community more details on that, but that motion was passed. The second motion deals with Iroquois Lodge, and the direction council has given me is to go out and seek a loan to get the $43 million required to begin that construction of that particular building. It is a bit of an interesting predicament where we do have to provide the 43 million upfront, but the Ministry of Long-Term Care will be reimbursing a portion of those costs, but we can only get access to those dollars once we have the first individual in the bed. So again, we'll be providing more details to the community later this week. The third exciting motion that was passed was in relation to Gowaneel School. Council has directed me through motions to again seek a loan to complete that construction of that building. Through their feasibility study, they've identified $23 million required for that. In addition to that, we will be seeking a Indigenous preferred loan through a number of different avenues for that amount with a 1% interest rate attached to that. So all three of those motions will be communicated out to the community, but I wanted to take this opportunity to do the verbal update. And like I said, stay tuned as likely tomorrow we'll be releasing a community update, providing the community with more details as it relates to those initiatives.
Thank you, Nathan. Hey. Can I have a mover to accept Nathan's update is information? Moved by moved by Cynthia, second by Amos. All in favor? By opposed? Seen none, carried. Let's go to number 8. Motions from in-camera political liaison, moved by Elena Van Avery, second by Amos Key Jr., that the following resolutions be released to General Council for August 13th, 2024. So the ICPL 2228/1224 reads that moved by Dale Bomberry and second by Cynthia Jamieson, that the Six Nations of the Grand River Council approve the following, that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve the accommodation strategy policy and authorize the CAT team to start implementing it. I have CPL 2208/1224, moved by Dale Bomberry, and second by Cynthia Jamieson, that Six Nations of the Grand River waive second reading on to 808/12/2024. I have CPL 23208/1224, moved by Cynthia Jamieson and second by Amos Key Jr., that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve that recommendation of the Education, Language, and Cultural Committee to accept the letter from Gowaneel Board regarding the new school as a community asset as information. ICPL 23308/12/2024. Moved by Dale Bomberry, second by Elena Van Avery, that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approves the recommendation from the Built Environment and Climate Adaptation Committee to accept the Iroquois Lodge Building Committee's terms of reference and mandates with the noted changes. ICPL 223408/12/2024, moved by Carrie Bomberry and second by Elena Van Avery, that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve the recommendation from the Built Environment and Climate Adaptation Committee to set aside land at 2017 Fourth Line to use as a fleet and transportation hub as follows. That the Six Nations of the Grand River Council set aside lot 16-21-1, concession 5, Township of Tuscarora, plan number 5800 RRSO under section 18.2 of the Indian Act to use as fleet and transportation hub. I have ICPL 23608/12/2024, moved by Cynthia Jamieson and second by Amos Key Jr., that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve the recommendation from the community political committee to hold a community meeting on the idea of a community pool. ICPL 2370812-2024, moved by Cynthia Jamison and seconded by Amos Key Jr., that Six Nations of the Grand River Council approves the recommendation from the community committee that Dean Hill attend Community Support Councils of Ontario Conference in Brantford on Friday, August 23rd and Saturday, August 24th at the Town Place Suites by the Marriott Conference Center. And ICPL 2380812-2024, moved by Cynthia Jamison and seconded by Amos Key Jr., that Six Nations of the Grand River Elect Council waive second reading on ICPL 2360812-2024 and ICPL 2370812-2024. So those were the updates for that. Okay, now let's move to number 9. Updates from committees, education, language, and culture. Six Nations of the Grand River, is there any updates, Amos? Yeah.
Those are no updates for this meeting. We haven't had a meeting. We're having it in 2 weeks. Yeah. You?
Yep. Unity building and external relations. I want to reschedule. I know we missed this month, so hopefully if we can reschedule, if everybody's available, even maybe this Thursday. What are we at, Tuesday? So just, because I know we're going to AMO next week. Is Thursday good? Thursday good for you, Greg? No? Oh, Dean? So we'll get it out there and we'll put it out there for an Amos. Out. Okay, so we'll put it out there in an email for this week, yes. The Wellbeing Committee. Amos, is there anything for the Wellbeing Committee? Can you use your mic?
Not for tonight.
Any other committees? Is there any updates? Yeah, go ahead. Dean.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I just want to tell the community that, yes, we will be exploring the possibility of a pool center on the territory. But first, we're going to need your support because we cannot accomplish this huge endeavor without your input. So the Community Political Committee and Council will be happy to announce a town hall meeting. Myself, the community chair, Councillor Leslie Green and Councillor Melba Thomas, and the rest of your councillors will be taking your questions, concern, and input and creating a wish list of ideas that you would like to see in the building of the pool center. And some ideas that have been tossed around were a library, a weightlifting room, a cafe. No matter what it may be, we need to hear your voices because they guide and direct what your councillors can do for your vision of the community. So more information will be coming out on this week's radio show. So be sure to tune in and keep an eye out on our social media pages for more announcements. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dean, for that update for the community committee. Okay, let's go to number 10, scheduling. Chiefs of Ontario Social Determinants of Health Conference, a health and well-being requested to attend September 4th and 5th in Rama. So I had, because I called Amos today because they were wanting numbers in rooms today. Amos said he was going. Hazel, did you want to go? Yeah. Melba, did you want to go? Yes. And Carol, Leslie. So with Leslie's, I got clarification. Leslie went to the OCCOH meeting, so her room is already booked, and her room will be paid for from that. And so I just wanted to put that. So is there a motion for Amos, Hazel, Melba, and Leslie to go? Read one. Sorry, Greg, did you read one? And Greg. We'll have to. Okay, moved by Dean, second by Cynthia. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Seen and carried. Claire, can we make sure that we, for Toby and add the another room to keep that one room? Cause I put that down. Yep, go ahead, Amos.
I just to give some background. We found about this at the well-being meeting from Carol after it was over, Leslie. And then thank you for following up with that, Chief. I'm very impressed, or even delighted, I guess. I'm gonna use that word delighted. That the Chiefs of Ontario are following up on this. This was a workshop I gave at the conference on health and well-being. And now they're moving forward on trying to encourage all Ontario First Nations to look at a slate of social determinants of health. So I'm really impressed that they're going to follow through with that. And so I'm glad we're going to be invited to be participants of that. Yep, thank you.
Thank you for that. The next one that it's my addition to scheduling. Who from Unity Building and External Relations? It was Iroquois, it's the Iroquois Caucus, the 27th. And then the 28th is the harvest one, and then, are those 2 days, and the 29th was, golfing. I am doing virtual on the 27th because I have to speak. So is there anybody from, Unity Building in external relations? Cause I think it's in Oneida. Yep. The 27th and 28th of August. Yep. Yep. Yep, 27th and 28th. And if you want to go golfing is the 29th. They're still looking for people. Jeez. I'm just trying to walk. So I have Cynthia. Greg, did you want to go? Who else is from there? Dean? Okay, and Amos. No, Amos can't.
Can I get back to you on that?
Yep. So can I just we'll just put your names in there now?
Yeah.
And then, Greg. Okay, so, I need a mover for Cynthia, Dean, and Greg to go to the Iroquois Caucus. Moved by Elena, second by Amos, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Seen and carried. I need to waive second reading on A and B now of scheduling. Moved by Elena, second by Amos, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Seen and carried. Okay, I have, Elena, go ahead with additions.
My addition, if council will recall, a Mr. Sitzma from Elora Mohawks sought support for the Elora Mohawks to keep the name, the suffix to their name, so the Mohawks. And there was pressure from the Center Wellington Recreation Department for them to change it. And so they did receive the support. And what I'm asking council for today is support to rescind the motion that was made to support that endeavor to keep the name. During this season, we had, Elora Mohawks is the junior B team, so they would have played our Six Nations Rebels. And then there was another, a Mohawk community team, so Ganawagi Hunters just played a series, I believe, with them. And so the feedback from parents and fans and community members from both Six Nations and Ganawagi were that they experienced the same, if not more, racism from that team, taunting because they got to keep their name. I don't know that it's anything different than what we've seen in the past, but I feel like Mr. Sitzma came and asked for support and advice and the advice that was given to him was not taken. And that's evident in the treatment of our people, our community members, our players. And so I'm asking for this council support in rescinding that motion of support for the Elora Mohawks to keep their name.
I'll second that.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to rescind it, moved by Elena, second by Amos. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Melba.
Yes, in the past years with the lacrosse teams from Six Nations, many years, and many times that our people have certainly experienced racism at Elora. I had hoped that things have changed over the years with more information on our history and who we are as Native people, but unfortunately, I hear that it's not the case, so I certainly support the resolution to rescind. Thanks.
Go ahead, Greg.
Just a question for Elena, because Elena's provided a lot of the background on this issue. What is the feeling from the Rebels or the Rebels organization?
I haven't spoken with the organization, so I have some contacts in Kahnawake, and that's the most recent team that they would have played. And so there was taunting of their team from the Elora Mohawks team. And then the racist comments coming from in the stands were from both of the games. So I haven't reached out to the organizations. But I imagine if I did, they would support this motion.
Dean?
So I do remember during the motion, we were talking about this, that the coach would be doing like education on the background. I'm pretty sure something along those lines were said that he was supposed to do. And if that hasn't been done, then maybe we can just inquire first to see if any of that has been done, kind of hold him accountable if that's what he said in front of us. It's just a thought before we can see what their side is and to see if it's not working versus taking it away.
Any other follow-up? Go ahead, Elena, then Amos.
That gentleman also did say that they did land acknowledgements, and that was not done. To my knowledge, the people that were there said there was no land acknowledgements done. And I'm taking the advice of our people. I don't think this is a house of second chances for people that don't belong here and come here and ask for something and then don't follow through.
Amos?
Again, I address my counsel here to say that this is a human rights issue. One racial slur is one too many in this day and age. So that's why I want to support Elena on this motion. And of course, I'm a Mohawk myself. So I think we need to rescind this because of that fact. And it's a privileged name. We offered it to them in all good taste and privilege. And it seems like it ran amok. And as you know, I abstained the last time on voting to let them use the name. But it continues on. In this sport, it continues on. I had family members that played lacrosse under the late Joe Montour. And getting into some of those arenas, he always told them, put your lacrosse stick in your good hand and carry your bag out to the bus. And they were escorted by police often. And there were minor sports, lacrosse teams, and it still goes on. The slurs are still there. It is a human rights issue. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? So I think in the resolution, can we add that we send a letter to letting them know that we did rescind the motion? Go ahead.
Can we send that to the gentleman that was here? He's from the Elora Mohawks as well as the Center Wellington Recreation Department. They are the ones that initially changed the minor team's name from Mohawks to Riverhawks, I believe. So the minor teams have done that work, and that's why they were pressuring this junior B team to change the name.
Okay, so that's in the resolution? Okay, Shirley? There's nothing else, go ahead, Dale.
Elena, I was just wondering if there was any communication reached out to that junior B team for explanations or nothing like that? Nothing was communicated, just the fact that information was shared with you and you're bringing it here?
No, not as far as I know. I don't know who would be responsible for that. I didn't do it on my own.
Okay, anything else? If not, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Any abstain? All in, abstain? We have 2, 3. Still passes, right? Still passes. Still in favor.
Can I get a recorded vote, please?
A recorded vote? Did you get those? Yeah, abstentions. Dale, Leslie, and Greg. Yep. Just give me 1 second, okay? Okay, got it. So it does pass. So I need to waive second reading. Moved by Lena, second by Amos. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Abstentions? The same 3. Okay. Just making sure you could waive second reading. Yep. Yeah. Okay, it does pass. Okay, go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, I want to thank Elena for bringing that to the table. Elena, it's important that you brought about the Elora Mohawks, not the lower Mohawks, but the Elora Mohawks. Just to be sure, because they could be picked up as different. Right, okay. But aside from that, I just want to talk about lacrosse. And when this was brought up, I remember thinking about my uncle, Cat Bomberry. And this is not new. This is not new to hear anything from the stands or from other players. And of course, it does cross the human rights as brought up by Amos. And I appreciate that as well. And I think it would take much more of a magnitude to really get fans and players and in the lacrosse arena for there to be a shift, a wholesome shift. Because that's not who we are, is to be racist and discriminatory to our neighbors. So I appreciate you bringing that, and I hope it does speak somewhat to them, but at the same time, our players are strong-minded, and it's a game, and when you know the history of the game, the good medicine that it brings, and it allows people to really physically get out there and get rid of some of the use it as de-stressors or what have you. I appreciate our lacrosse teams, whether it be here at Six Nations or across Ontario or Can-Am and the world Indigenous lacrosse players. So I just want to make sure that we continue that I would call it a hoorah for the lacrosse. So thank you.
Okay, Amos? You have anything to, I had you as an addition. Anything? That's what I thought. Yep. Okay, so if there's nothing else, can I have a mover to adjourn for tonight, the open? Moved by Elena, second by Amos. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Thank you for joining us tonight and have a great night.